I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hey, this is Jeff McNeely, owner of G&M Milling Company in beautiful downtown Lowray. We at G&M hope you come by and see us for all your livestock needs. We stock feeds for all kinds of animals and hay too. We also have seed for a wide variety of forages for your animals. So come on by 4000 Taylorsville Highway, Statesville, or call us at 704-873-5758. We're worth the drive. Thank you again for supporting small family-owned businesses. God bless.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
All systems are a go.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats. Taking Care of Iredell with North Carolina State Representative Jeff McNeely is about to begin. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, Iredell County. I'm sounding a little rough, I know. Been to Alaska for the last little bit, y'all. Sorry I've been gone. Man's got to get away every once in a while. This was a bucket list trip. And glad I took it, but yeah, I brought back a little something from it. But anyway, glad to be back in the studio. Miss doing my show, miss hearing from my people, but we're rip-raring and ready to roll this morning. Already got my guest on the line, so I'm going to bring him in. I got Pat Harrigan on the line. He is our Republican candidate for District 10 Congressional seat, which is Iredell County. It is Lincoln. It is Catawba. It is I think Davie, and I know part of Forsyth, if I'm not mistaken. And Pat, are you there?
Jeff, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Did I leave a county out? I'm trying to think. Is
well,
Yadkin?
We got Lincoln, Catawba, Iredell, Forsyth, and Yadkin.
Yadkin, not Davie. You got to get it right. They change it all the time on me. Got to get it right.
They do. It's hard to keep it straight.
It is. Well, glad to have you on the show. Me and Pat, I've been trying to get hooked up with Pat for about a month or two now, and we can't get ourselves together, but we got it going this morning. So, hey, I know a lot of people, they hopefully here in Iredell County especially, got to know who Pat Harrigan was during the campaign. It was a hard-fought campaign. At times probably got dirtier than it should and unfortunately tougher than it should, and that's Republican primaries. It's a bloodletting usually, and I was in the middle of mine too, so I get it. But now we're all together. We're in the boat, and everybody's rowing hard. But tell all my listeners a little bit, refresh them. Who is Pat Harrigan? Who? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'll do that, but I got to tell everybody listening here that Jeff McNeely is about the most patient and gracious host that we could possibly have, because he talked about trying to get a hold of me and get me on here for the last 2 months. I have canceled on him twice, once at the last minute. So I probably would have thrown me into the back of a cornfield by now, but I appreciate you making it work this time, Jeff, and working with our schedule, but I'm excited to be here. And I'll tell you, you just got back from Alaska. And I'll stitch this into a little of who Pat Harrigan is. So I came out of West Point and went down, did all my initial training down in Fort Benning, infantry officer basic and ranger school. And then my first duty station was actually up in Alaska, believe it or not. And so Rocky and I, we met down in Atlanta, Georgia when I was down at Fort Benning, but we got stationed up in Fairbanks, Alaska. And so we were there from 2010 to 2013. Before I deployed to Afghanistan, had an amazing deployment out there as a young lieutenant, taking over a small air access only combat outpost in the middle of the Arghandab Valley, just up north of Kandahar. And that was really like a traditional special forces mission to me. And so I came back and I told Rocky, I was like, Rocky, I think I feel called to go to the special forces. And this was up in Alaska. She said, Pat, no, you don't. You're not going to go to the special forces after you've just been gone for a year. And we prayed about it. We talked a lot about it. And she let me go to selection. I got picked up down here in North Carolina. And so that's how we ended up coming to North Carolina in 2013 via Fort Bragg. So went through the special forces qualification course. Got stationed at Fort Bragg for permanent duty, and took a team in 3rd Special Forces Group, went right back to Afghanistan, and had an amazing experience, truly life-changing experience over there, leading some amazing Americans in some really tough environments. And that's part of that, and that military background and all that deploying and war fighting is is who I am today. It's shaped my personality. It's shaped my perspective. It's shaped my principles and the values that I hold and the things that I believe very strongly. But my wife and I, we started a business while I was still in. We started, a business in the firearms industry. Started as a hobby and then, turned into a real business. I know a lot of folks can resonate with that. We started it out of our little double-wide trailer out there in Fayetteville. And now we've got about 120,000 square feet of all-American manufacturing, 10 minutes west of Hickory.
Cool.
We make guns, we make ammo, we make stuff that goes boom. We have a lot of fun and employ Americans. The journey, North Carolina has been very, very good to us, and I'm just tickled to death to have the opportunity to give back to her.
And this is something I don't know the answer to. I usually like to ask questions. I kind of know. Do you have y'all have any children? I think you do. Do you know?
We do, yeah.
Yes.
We've got two girls.
Thought so.
Jeff,
I thought you did.
There's a fun thing in the Special Forces community called the Special Forces Curse, and kind of an interesting fun fact. But no matter what part of Special Forces you come from, whether it's Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Rangers, whatever it might be, 80% of the special operators in the community only have girls. And they call it the curse in jest, but everybody loves it. Obviously, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I wouldn't trade my two little girls for the world. But they're 5 and 7 now. Their names are Reagan and McKinley, named after two really solid Republicans.
That's right.
They got me wrapped around their finger, that's for sure.
Well, good. I know you're a good father, and I know Rocky's a good mother. She and your wife's a go-getter. She's a fireball. I met her in the campaign, and she was here, there, and everywhere. So y'all were wide open for sure.
I think most people talk to me and they say, he'd probably do all right as a representative. And they talk to Rocky, and they're like, why isn't she running instead of him?
I had the same thing happen with me and my wife. Everybody vote for my wife. Some people will vote for me, but everybody vote for my wife. So that's the way
right.
it goes.
That's
We always hope to marry up. We always do. Hey, thank you for your service to our country and putting your life in harm's way. And, there's been a lot going on right now with the switch over on the Democratic side with Kamala Harris stepping in for Joe Biden and taking Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, up there. And some of his military career, which I appreciate his service, 24 years National Guard. But when the time comes, now they're saying, he had a chance to go with his squad to, I think, Iraq at that time back in 2005, and
right.
He chose to retire instead of going into active military, and he was going to be the commander. Now, we got a hard break here at 11:15 for about a minute or so, so we can't talk long. But, I don't see him being in as much harm's way as a lot of his people in his squad would or his battalion. I'm not sure how big a group he was over, but I think he was fairly high up in command. That to me, I kind of look at this man and wonder, maybe I shouldn't. I should just be happy he served. I don't know.
Yeah, look, the problem that veterans in the veteran community have with Tim Walz is not the fact that he served. Nobody's got a problem with his service. They have a problem with the mischaracterization of his service that he's been doing since he left in 2005, exaggerating and lying about his service for political gain. And then the real kicker, and this is what J.D. Vance hauled me up to Pennsylvania to talk about last week, is that civilians just don't understand. Unless you're in the military, it's really hard to understand this, is he walked away from a deployment to Iraq. He left his men and women high and dry at their greatest time of need in order to go run for Congress. And JD asked me to lay out why I thought that was a coward's choice. And it really is inexcusable. And you got to just understand, when you're in the military, everything that you do is for the people that serve under your command. And it is not possible for a commander, particularly one in the National Guard, like, in active duty, we're moving around every 2 or 3 years, right? When you're in the Guard, you've been with these people for
Pat,
a long time.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
We're going to be right back. So, folks, stay tuned.
Got it.
Keep it right here. Taking Care of Iredell with NC Representative Jeff McNeely will return after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Smith Band provides an energetic mix of pop, rock, country, R&B, and beach music. Come and enjoy all Birkdale Village has to offer with the free Dukes and Smith concert beginning at 6 p.m. Friday at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Downtown Mooresville presents the Downtown Summer Sidewalk Sale this Saturday. Join locally owned businesses for hot sales. Come shop till you drop in downtown Mooresville on Saturday. Davidson presents Concerts on the Green Saturday. The Dave Matthews Tribute Band plays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the Davidson Village Green. Enjoy this free performance on Saturday night in downtown Davidson. On Saturday, September 7th, see the top riders from the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship as they compete on a custom-built course at ZMAX Dragway. The playoff opener features a two-moto format for the 450cc class and the 250cc class, promising plenty of drama and excitement the moment the gates drop. The Super Motocross Fan Fest is a pre-race event taking place from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. where you can see the teams practice, prepare, and qualify for the playoff round and is included with your event ticket. Don't miss the biggest Super Motocross race of the year. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com or the CMS app for information and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
For 42 years, Johnson's Parts and Supply has been your Auto Plus auto parts store. When you need auto parts, think Johnson's Parts and Supply. Your Auto Plus auto parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
Call now to speak with NC Representative Jeff McNeely at 844-STUDIO-4. It's Taking Care of Iredell on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, back here with Pat Harrigan, candidate for the 10th district. That's our district, folks. Got him on the line. Pat, you still with me?
I'm still here.
And I hated to cut you off because you were on a good roll there talking about Tim Walz and his military service and when he decided to end his military service. And so pick that back up because, I mean, I think, like you said, his people were looking for his leadership and he couldn't be found.
Yeah, no, and not only did he not step up to the plate, he ran away, right? And that's what I want people to understand is when you're in the National Guard, you're serving with these people across a long time. It's the same people over and over and over throughout the years. You're not like in active duty when you're moving back and forth between bases. You know, you're with people for 2 or 3 years. This is many, many years he's been with these folks. And when the orders came down, it was time to take them to Iraq. He ran away. He quit. And what we want people to understand as the veteran community is we want you to understand that any leader worth the title of leader would rather die than put his men and women on an airplane going to a combat zone without him on that plane. And that is a coward's choice. It is disqualifying for the office that he is seeking right now. We need him nowhere near the leadership of the military. And remember, as vice president, he's one heartbeat away from being the commander-in-chief.
Oh, I know. And you know,
cannot happen.
And the funny thing was he basically retired to run for Congress. He stepped out. He stepped out of harm's way. You always hear about people, that people get elected and they find out their dad got them out of the draft. Well, he did this all on his own. He got himself out of harm's way and ran for Congress in Minnesota and won in his district. You know.
Yeah, and again, nobody's hitting the guy on the service or the desire to serve, but there's a time and a place for everything. And I'm running for Congress right now. I didn't run, 8 years ago to get out of a deployment to Afghanistan. Right? There's a proper way to do things, and that's what we want civilians who have not served in the military to understand is he made the wrong choice, he made a selfish choice, and honestly, he made a choice that no true leader could ever make.
All right. Let's talk about something now that the current vice president, supposedly she's in charge of, and you've been there. I don't think you've been there as, officially the now Republican candidate, but I know you've been to the border, and it's a mess, and I'm pretty sure she still hasn't really been to the border yet. So, where are we at with our border and the security and counting on Kamala Harris to take care of it?
I think if history has shown and actions have shown what kind of problem solver Kamala Harris will be on the border. We already know she's not going to be one. We've got a total mess down there. It continues to be a mess, and it is an existential national security crisis for this country. It is really unconscionable that the Biden administration, Biden-Harris, have allowed our laws to not be enforced and have instead thrown this radical leftist policy towards rampant illegal immigration and just letting them flow across the border as fast as possible, not knowing who they are, not knowing what type of threat that they pose to this country for the purpose of, some crazy thought about the trajectory of our economy, or more likely, they're just bringing votes across the border.
That's it.
It's crazy to understand when you really get to dig down into this issue what they have done to our country.
To me, I truly believe, and I think the minorities in the Democratic Party, the black, some of the other, maybe even the Jewish, if you want to call that a minority, or that's more of a religion than an actual thing, but they consider themselves a race. This is a replacement theory. We're going to bring people in from everywhere else, and once we alienate you, we'll still have our votes, and it's not going to be long after, if she does get to be president, she's going to find a pathway to citizenship for all these people. It's a matter of time. It's going to happen.
Well, you're already reading in several liberal publications across the country that folks who have been here in this country for 6 months are now already being offered citizenship and converted into citizens. And the only ostensible reason and conclusion that we can come to is that they want the vote, right? And that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's happening. Those are being published in liberal California newspapers. They're telling us the truth. As clearly as they can possibly tell us, and we're just not paying attention.
Well, when U-Haul tells you that California is the number one state for exit, and yet they still hold pretty much all the representatives in the House of Representatives that they had. They don't show a loss in population because they truly can count heads. They bring people in to take the place of the Americans leaving California and coming back east somewhere or another, maybe Arizona, maybe Utah, maybe Nevada. I don't know, but they're getting out of California. The normal people are, and they're just counting heads and keeping the same amount of reps that they have, and that's always been their game plan to be able to influence like they do because they got more representatives than anybody else in the U.S. House. So it's I always say they're not stupid. They're just crazy. That's all. They're just crazy.
Yeah, and just so everybody understands too, the problem with that is that you end up having a vote just through illegal immigration that is worth, maybe 15 to 20 representatives in Congress and across the country, right? And that is a huge problem from a majority perspective. It's also a huge problem from an electoral college perspective because your electoral college numbers are based off of your representatives and your senators, right?
Exactly.
And so you ultimately have a direct line from illegal immigration to who sits in the presidency. And we need to be very concerned about this, as all of us Republicans are, and we need to stop it.
Well, like I said, I see no hope with the current administration or the Harris future administration of ever worrying about closing up our border. When their answer was to allow 35,000 a week to come over, and that's okay, that told me real quick. That told me real quick.
That's totally insane, too. And that's why, the Senate legislation failed, is that what it was going to do, it was going to codify bad policy on top of and codify it into law, where the law already provides the solution that we have on the books. We just got to enforce it. And that comes down to policy. But, I mean, having read that bill, there was something in there, Jeff, that was just insane. It provided every single illegal alien access to an attorney. Yeah. And I talked to a couple immigration judges, and they said, Pat, with the caseload and the workload that we already have right now, that would put somebody entering into the country today in 2024 in my courtroom sometime in 2030 or 2031. What a joke. Well, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, and not to mention the cost not to mention the cost of them being here, us keeping them up, and then, of course, now we got a cost of an attorney involved, and we're going to pay for that. And you hear the press, one of the greatest, strictest border policies ever the Democrats put forth and the Republicans turned. It was a piece of crap. It was crazy. So
yes, exactly.
Of course, that's the press. This is the same press that made us believe Joe Biden was fit to serve and fine for the last 2-3 years. So I really trust them.
And it's the same 15,000 members of the press that are sitting at the DNC right now.
Exactly.
15,000. I could not believe that number.
Well, you know what? Most of them are probably delegates. So, we got about 3 minutes. Let's hit real quick. I don't know. I thought that's pretty funny too. Let's hit on the economy a little bit because that's the problem. Bidenomics. I've done started quick calling it. I'm calling it Harrisnomics now. Harrisnomics. I mean, the lady come out the other day. Now she wants to price fix on food because she thinks people are making too much money. They have no idea what actually how our economy works in a capitalist setting. It's pitiful.
Right. No, they have no practical experience. They're part of an elite political class that is wealthy and has no idea what the average American is going through on a day-to-day basis. And that's why, when it comes down to folks like me and you run your own business. I run my own business. We sign the front of paychecks. We've I'm sure both had to pay our employees at some point before we paid ourselves. We know what it means to struggle and what it means to not have guaranteed income and to have ups and downs in the market and have to move through all of that and find ways to take care of our employees and take care of our families at the same time. And they've never had to do that.
Yeah.
They simply do not understand what the average American is going through right now. And they don't get that when prices have gone up, 20 to 30% over the last 4 years, and real wages have not kept up with that, that's absolutely bone crushing to the average American family. And it's just put them in a position where, they're choosing between, in some cases, taking care of their families on a day-to-day basis, making sure they got food on the table, making sure kids are in sports and in school and doing all the things that kids need to do to live a normal life, and taking on debt. And that's not the American dream.
No. And that's what's happening. I mean, we're killing. We're watching this administration, these ideas, and she's even more radical. And I'm not even really sure the Democrat candidate running against you, but I can tell you they believe exactly what these Biden and Harris both believe, and this is killing America. We got 30 seconds. How do we find Pat Harrigan campaign? What are we on social media?
Well, we're at HarriganForCongress.com, and that's HARRIGAN, spells Harrigan, like the old Yankee Doodle Dandy jingle.
Yep.
And you can find us there. You can also find us out in the district every single day. We're out there hitting the campaign super hard. We are not taking anything for granted. And look, the biggest thing, too, you're going to find us at other candidates' events because we need to make sure that Republicans win up and down the ticket. I will do whatever I can to support anybody
Thank you.
That's trying to win and bring forward conservative values into our government.
I appreciate you. Hey, brother, take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, heading into the new work week, big changes on the way in the weather department for the middle of the week. For our Monday, looking at a partly cloudy sky, temperatures will warm into the mid and upper 80s, just the low chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. Most of us will stay dry, though. But for the middle of the week, are you ready for a little teaser to fall? Humidity will drop off, dew points into the 50s, dry weather, and temperatures cooler, too. Mornings will be refreshing, afternoons near 80. That's your forecast. From the WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Folks, here at Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, we have got the brand new 2025 Chevrolet Traverse in stock, all redesigned from front to back, top to bottom, inside and out. Come see them today. We have got a great selection of these new Traverses ready for you to take home. And also, we got great discounts on our Silverado trucks. We got the regular cab, crew cab, double cabs, discounted up to $9,000 off. Great selection, Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, right on I-40.
Hey, this is Jeff McNeely, owner of G&M Milling Company in beautiful downtown Lowray.
We at G&M hope you come by and see us for all your livestock needs. We stock feeds for all kinds of animals and hay too. We also have seed for a wide variety of forages for your animals. So come on by 4000 Taylorsville Highway, Statesville, or call us at 704-873-5758. We're worth the drive. Thank you again for supporting small family-owned businesses. God bless.
For over 57 years, Nelson Royals has been serving the Lake Norman, Mooresville, Statesville, and surrounding counties. Nelson Royals has work and Western clothing and over 4,000 boots and shoes in stock. Brands like Ariat, Rocky, Justin, Durango, Tony Lama, Red Wing, Thorogood, Skechers, Hey Dude, and many more. Check them out at nelsonroyals.com.
For 42 years, Johnson's Parts and Supply has been your Auto Plus auto parts store. When you need auto parts, think Johnson's Parts and Supply. Your Auto Plus auto parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
Looking for a large private room for your next work function? Or maybe you need a place to bring the whole family for a delicious meal? Pomodoros of Mooresville has the perfect space for your crowd. Book your next event at pomodoros.com.
Are you concerned about losing your house if you go into a nursing home? Contact Crosswhite Law to learn about protecting your home. Crosswhite Law is here to protect you. Call 704-873-7233. Crosswhitelaw.com.
We're at Black Automotive, and there are trucks everywhere. GMC Sierra 1500 trucks are up to $8,500 off now at Black Automotive, and over 40 pre-owned vehicles out of the vast inventory under $20,000. Black Automotive, Statesville.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. A big convenience store chain is looking to take over an even bigger one to become a convenience store behemoth. Canada-based Couche-Tard, yeah, that's the name, operates roughly 14,000 stores under names including Circle K. And it's just made a roughly $31 billion offer to acquire the owner of 7-Eleven. Japan-based 7 & I Holdings has more than 85,000 stores, and most of its revenue comes from the U.S. Stock and sports streaming company Fubo TV is up 27% after a federal judge late Friday blocked the launch set for this week of Venue, a sports streaming channel co-owned by Fox, Disney, and Warner Brothers Discovery. The temporary injunction comes so Fubo has the chance to advance its lawsuit, arguing the new service would harm competition and raise prices for customers. Wall Street's indexes had a slow start, but now indexes are moving across the board higher. Dow up 0.5%, S&P 500 rising 1/4, NASDAQ up 1/10. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
Now, more Taking Care of Iredell with North Carolina Representative Jeff McNeely on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, back here with the second half of the show. Glad to have Pat Harrigan on. Pat went a little long there, so y'all missed the end, but basically he said vote for him and vote for red. And he's right, by gosh, he's right. Hey, sorry I've been gone, like I said, a couple weeks. I couldn't help it, just the way the thing fell, but I got to go to Alaska. It's a bucket list thing for me. Turned 60 back in June. I know I don't look a day over 58, but yeah. That's good living, I guess. But anyway, I recommend it highly if you've never been. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. Had a great itinerary. We did buses, trains, planes, boats, you name it. Saw a lot of stuff. Got to see whales come right beside the ship we were on, one of the Princess Line ships, and food was excellent and great times. Went with good friends, and Lord's blessed me. He truly has. Getting here, going before we get into anything. If anybody like to call and talk, 844-788-3464. I'd love to hear from you. Like I said, I ain't got to hear from you in a couple of weeks. I miss my peoples. I enjoy doing this show. I hated I had to be gone for 2 weeks. Scotty Brown was going to try to fill in, and sadly his mother passed away, so condolences to Scotty and his family for the loss of his mother, and hate all that went down like that for sure. One thing real quick before I get into some of the topics that we need to talk about. The Iredell GOP is selling raffle tickets right now, and it's for numerous Panther games. And so please see me or anyone other that are on the executive committee There's many. There's also a headquarters here in Statesville and one down in Mooresville now that just opened up this past Saturday, grand opening. The one here in Statesville is located over in Forest Heights Shopping Center. And for all of y'all that are old like me, it's the old Northwest Bank building, that cute little building behind the service station there on the corner. If you pull into the parking lot of Forest Heights, I think you'll see it, and a lot of you know it. It's right there on the right. So go by there and see them. They have those raffle tickets. They also have information on all the different candidates. If you're interested and want to know, they also would love to have people come and help participate on election days and early voting, so sure could use your help. Like I said, if anybody wants to call in, give us a call, 844-788-3464. Well, according to the media, it appears that Kamala Harris is better than burnt toast. And now that's an old line, I've heard as a kid. And come to find out, I looked it up just to see, so when I thought I'd use that metaphor, and it basically means that burnt toast is better than no toast at all. So evidently you're settling. Anyway, but we'll talk about that another time. So she's just the most wonderful thing that's ever happened, even though she's been sitting there for about 3.5 years and hadn't done diddly squat. She now is just the best thing that there ever was, and got all the right ideas and so great and wonderful. And obviously, Joe Biden should have never even been the nominee at all. It's funny, if y'all remember, you didn't have much choice, Democrats. They didn't even allow anybody to run against him. The party blocked everybody they could, shut down the primaries, basically, stopped anything from happening. So you didn't have no choice than to take Joe Biden, who they anointed. Then they got rid of him and anointed Kamala Harris, it appears not, and you don't really have no choice there. So I guess you're just going to take it and eat it. That's the only thing I can tell you, and be happy. You get what you get and don't pitch a fit, Democrats. You got her. So now she's also picked up her campaign, Tim Walz, who was a congressman from up in Minnesota, I think from like 2007 to 17, 18. He ended up being one of the ranking members on the Veterans Affairs. He ran for governor in 2018, and he won. And his records pretty much fits the MO of Kamala and the rest of the Democrats that we see nowadays. He's big on spending, big on more government employment, higher taxes, and believe it or not, just so you know, because just as Pat had said, one heartbeat away from being our president. So you need to know that. I always said that was what kept Joe Biden as safe as anything I knew was Kamala Harris was next, and nobody wanted that. So there was no way anybody was going to do any harm to Joe Biden. He was bulletproof without ever having to wear a vest. So here we go. So Tim Walz, they have the highest corporate tax in Minnesota of any state in the nation, including New Jersey, including Illinois. Those are close, though. They're jealous. I'm sure they'll try to figure out a way to catch up with Minnesota and do that. And because of that, they're actually a negative population. They're one of the few states that hasn't grown in the census, really, hardly at all. In the 10 years, they actually lost people. They've left. And a lot of people say, oh, it's because it's cold up there. But the truth of the matter is it's ridiculously expensive up there to survive in Minnesota, plus the cold weather. Plus, they're also doing a lot of green initiatives. So eventually, they'll shut down as many power plants as they can, and they'll freeze the people in Minnesota to death. So that's going to be what their future looks like. So this is what we got to worry about here. And like I said, unfortunately, I appreciate his service to our country in the National Guard. He did a 24-year-plus career. But when it finally come time that the National Guard had to be deployed, he decided to retire and step away and let his unit go on into combat without him. And then he decided to run to Congress. So I appreciate his service when it was convenient. So, getting real quick into it here also, we're starting to see some economic plans and some other ideas of what a Kamala Harris presidency will look like. And this is starting to really scare me pretty significantly, folks. Just telling you. She's come out now, and she's basically going after high grocery prices and then the high cost of housing. And pretty much has no idea exactly the reason why we have these high prices at the grocery store and why we have these high prices at the as far as buying houses. It is the different things that the Biden-Harris administration has put forth over the last 3 years that has been a domino effect that have caused these problems. And every time they could do something mistimed, they did. And they have yet to admit to any of the mistakes, so that's why they can't figure out how to solve the problem. They have no clue about what's going on. And so just to give you a little bit of idea of her social ideas, she's saying that she's wanting to put, that there's price gouging going on at the grocery store, and that she's wanting to put price capping on stuff. So that's the most that somebody can charge for a product, no matter how much it ends up costing to make that product and get it on the shelf. And that's what they don't understand with the extra government regulations that they've put forth with allowing, and they did, because of a weak presence, we allowed Russia to invade Ukraine. And what really allowed Russia to invade Ukraine, and you got to remember this, folks, and I hope you got a better memory than you have had in the past, because it seems like a lot of people can't remember more than about 3 months back. But this all started on the first day Joe Biden signed the deal to kill the pipeline that basically ran from Canada down into the U.S. that would pull the shale oil, that harder to extract, tougher oil out. And what that did, that killed the chance of future reserves that would last hundreds and hundreds of years to allow us to depend on domestic, which caused oil prices to go up. Well, when oil prices go up over a certain level, we proved in history that Vladimir Putin is going to invade somebody, because they have, their government is in control of the petroleum products in Russia. And so when it usually gets over $75, $80 a barrel, their crude's a little rougher, so it's hard to refine. So they got to get on up in price before people really want to start buying theirs. So when price gets up enough where people start buying more Russian petroleum products, he has money. And when he has money, he doesn't go out and make things better for his people. He doesn't go out and build parks. No, he buys weapons. He trains more people. He increases his military strength, and he goes to try to put the old Soviet Union back together again. And it's the old saying, you know, and we're getting the band back together. Well, he sees it. And the Ukraine is one of the more critical parts for the Russian country, because it is their breadbasket. It is where they usually get a majority of their food. It's a very good agriculture, very well climated place, kind of like our upper Midwest that we have here in the United States along that same parallel. So he attacks. Well, unfortunately, right about the time that it all goes down, that's when 2 years ago, our country's trying to get a crop in the ground and fertilize. EPA and everybody else has cut it down to where we hardly make any of our own fertilizer here in this country. Instead, we have to import it. And guess who one of the largest exporters of fertilizer is? Ukraine. You got it. So that caused all of our input cost on our farmers to go up. So that caused prices to go up also, because they didn't plant over there. So I'm getting ready to go on a hard break, but you kind of see where I'm going right here. So that's why our food prices are up, because of stupidity. So hang with me. I got a lot more to tell you about stupidity.
More Taking Care of Iredell with North Carolina Representative Jeff McNeely is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, heading into the new work week, big changes on the way in the weather department for the middle of the week. For our Monday, looking at a partly cloudy sky, temperatures will warm into the mid and upper 80s, just the low chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. Most of us will stay dry, though. But for the middle of the week, are you ready for a little teaser to fall? Humidity will drop off, dew points into the 50s, dry weather, and temperatures cooler, too. Mornings will be refreshing, afternoons near 80. That's your forecast. From the WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree, Lake Norman, and Mooresville has free music this Thursday featuring a concert by Third Rail. Third Rail presents their high-energy show of rock and roll cover songs, while Langtree is open for food and drinks. Event time is 6:30 p.m., music begins at 7, and the Langtree shops off Exit 31 from I-77 are open all day. Grab your lawn chairs and enjoy Langtree Live this Thursday night with a free concert by Third Rail. Brookdale Village in Huntersville continues their Friday night Live Under the Oaks concert series with music from Dukes and Smith. The Dukes and Smith Band provides an energetic mix of pop, rock, country, R&B, and beach music. Come and enjoy all Brookdale Village has to offer with the free Dukes and Smith concert beginning at 6 p.m. Friday at Brookdale Village in Huntersville. Downtown Mooresville presents the Downtown Summer Sidewalk Sale this Saturday. Join locally owned businesses for hot sales. Come shop till you drop in downtown Mooresville on Saturday. Davidson presents Concerts on the Green Saturday. The Dave Matthews Tribute Band plays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the Davidson Village Green. Enjoy this free performance on Saturday night in downtown Davidson. On Saturday, September 7th, see the top riders from the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship as they compete on a custom-built course at ZMAX Dragway. The playoff opener features a two-moto format for the 450cc class and the 250cc class, promising plenty of drama and excitement the moment the gates drop. The Super Motocross Fan Fest is a pre-race event taking place from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. where you can see the teams practice, prepare, and qualify for the playoff round and is included with your event ticket. Don't miss the biggest Super Motocross race of the year. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com or the CMS app for information and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Taking Care of Iredell continues. Here's your host, NC Representative Jeff McNeely on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
All right, back here with the second part of the show. Like I said, if anybody wants to holler in, I'm doing my rant, I guess. I've got a couple of weeks worth pinning up in me. Maybe that'll help me get this sinus deal I got going out of me, too, when I get all that done. 844-788-3464. Getting back a little bit here. And you know, she hasn't just exactly come out and said it, but she got real close the other day here in North Carolina, Kamala Harris did. Kind of blaming that it's on the farmers. You know, she won't be that dumb, I don't think. But she just kept, you know, sticking and poking the bear really to a point. And I'm going to tell you what, folks, farming is in a bad way, a really bad way. And in North Carolina, it's in a horrible way. We've just come out of a drought. And the way we came out of a drought was by flooding. And so what crops didn't make because they were just basically burned up from lack of water and the heat at the worst time it could have happened, then the wind came and the rain and the flooding and pretty much flattened about all the crops. I talked to my tobacco guys. Their crop got flattened down. And this is on western side of the state. Which we were far away from the tropical storm, but still took a beating from it. The eastern side of the state totally got submerged and flooding and washed away. I do not see hardly anybody making any money at all in agriculture this year. And it's going to be a struggle to feed their cows. So you may sell out some and make some money right now, and you may have to sell some animals to figure out how to make this work. There will be a second cutting of hay, which I wasn't sure of, but unfortunately, everything else is going to be ridiculous, and we're going to have to bring a lot of grain in from outside of the state. And though North Carolina is not Iowa, we don't make a lot of grain, but we do a fairly decent job of supporting ourselves, feeding our own animals, because we're number 2 or 3 right now in hog, and number 2 or 3 in chicken, and we have quite a decent amount of cattle, nothing like Texas or some out in the Midwest, but we do a lot of cow-calf, and so we supply a lot of feed lots out in the Midwest with cattle from North Carolina. And I'm afraid there's going to be people get rid of some, and then, like I said, right now, beef's bringing a really good price. And the reason is because there was drought for 2 years running out in the Midwest and Texas. And so a lot of mama cows got sold, and we don't have the replacements coming on to fill the pipeline. So I see these high prices on food persisting. I don't see it getting any better. But if you price cap, if you tell people how much they can make on something, you'll either deter innovation, you'll deter their ability to want to actually participate, and they'll walk away from the market. So next thing you know, you're gonna have scarcities, you're gonna have shortages. You've got to let the capitalistic world work itself out. We've always said the cure for high prices is high prices. And eventually the market will alleviate itself. But what they don't understand, let's say some of the input costs now have come down from the craziness that they brought about by not being strong enough government to keep Russia out of Ukraine, which that's exactly what happened. Trump was strong enough that they did not dare mess with Ukraine in his time, but they saw how weak Biden is. And believe me, folks, they knew the truth that our media was pulling over on us. Their media doesn't do that. Well, one of the reasons is their media is actually run by the government. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking ours is run by part of the government now. It's the left. But what you've got going on right now, this whole thing, it's a sham. And you cannot do price capping on food. That's one of the few things that you'll never make work out. And I can tell you right now, my farmers, they're not getting rich. I wish they were. They deserve it as much as anybody, if not more so. But they're not. They're struggling mightily. And I don't know how many of them are going to survive with all that's going on. And we're in some talks right now with the Department of Ag, trying to figure out some way or another maybe to help them come out of this. Thank goodness some have crop insurance. I hope most, if not all, do. That'll be the only thing. If they don't have crop insurance, I'm not sure how they're going to make it. They're not going to survive. It's just that bad. And so we've got to figure out here exactly what we're going to do. But I can tell you, if you start messing with the economy like Kamala Harris is talking about, who has no idea how this works, and keep spending and keep throwing more money. Because if your inputs go down, one thing they didn't remember or didn't consider, but Bernie Sanders wanted, that $15 an hour minimum wage, well, they kind of artificially got it. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, we need to raise the minimum wage. Well, folks, to tell you the truth, to get people to participate in the employment market, we've raised the minimum age. It's just not been put down on paper. And so that cost, that labor cost, is figured in at all levels. The farm is also figured in the processing part. It's also figured in the grocery store part. All those numbers have gone up, and I'm not begrudging because they had to, because all the prices of everything went up, because all the input costs went up, because of overspending at the worst possible times with all these little great government build back betters and all this different stuff that they came up with and kept spending $1 trillion here and $1 trillion there. Right now, the way it's set up in this last budget that Biden put forth, and I'm sure Harris is going to say that's wonderful, but we need to spend more, we're about $2 trillion short of what we take in taxes and fees and whatnot versus what's going out on the federal government. That's not sustainable. But I see no reason for them to stop. She's wanting to double the amount for child care credit to a point, or not child care, but for just having a child. She's wanting to double it. That's going to be $3 trillion in itself alone if that policy works. Sounds great. Once again, we're out there buying votes left, right, wherever we can. And now it seems to be a bidding war. I do think that the tariffs that Trump talks about are necessary. I think if not, we'll continue to lose manufacturing here in the U.S. And the only thing that saved us from not having a recession like we should have had, and I still believe we truly are in a recession, but it's in a different form than we've seen in the past, is that so many people did not go back into the workforce, and so unemployment has been kept extremely low. I would love to see how many people in this nation are actually working versus those not working, because the way they do the factors on unemployment, it doesn't figure in all this. And trust me, they do that on purpose, so it makes it look good. All right, I'm going to get off of that little bit of a soapbox right now. I am going to talk just a little bit about Title IX. And I don't know how many of y'all know what Title IX is, but basically that was passed in the early 70s. and it was allow women's sports to have equality with men's sports as far as money spent on different levels, especially like at the college level, to make sure that women had access to sports and the scholarships that were provided. So same amount, like I said, if we had 8 different men teams, we needed to have 8 different women teams of something. Whatever the number is, it had to be equal in proportion. We had to make it work. So, as we talked about in earlier shows in the Biden administration, they cleverly, sneakily went behind and redid a definition at the Department of Education, which basically said that it's okay, even though states have gone out and said that biological men cannot play in women's sports, they passed a definition to combat that so that it would still allow biological men to play in women's sports, to go in women's locker rooms, to do whatever they wanted to do if they decided they felt like they wanted to be classified as a woman. Thank God, United States Supreme Court put a stay to allow that the lower court of appeals ruling to hold for now until further litigation. So at this point in time, it's still a stop on allowing men, if your state ruled that way, which North Carolina did, and I was glad to vote for that, Save Women's Sports Act. So as of right now, in North Carolina, if you're biological male, you cannot compete in women's sports. And that was upheld, and that was really good because it looked like that was getting ready to change. And so at least the Supreme Court saved us from the craziness. So thank the Lord for that. And I think if anybody watched the Olympics, and I know a lot of people got turned off right off the get-go from the opening ceremony stuff, but if you did watch the Olympics and saw the boxing and saw the supposedly female participant, I think it was from South America, whatever, I'm not sure, I can't remember the country now, pretty much beat the pulp out of a woman, we saw how wrong this can go. And it's crazy. This is not the way it was intended. There's a reason we have women's sports and men's sports is to allow the women to participate on an equal level playing field. And when you start trying to mix it up like this and have people make these claims, then next thing you know, you're going to have people hurt because you can say whatever you want to. Unfortunately, men are superior strength in most cases and could hurt somebody really bad in these situations, just like we saw in that boxing. I think that was the epitome of it, and we'll see what the Olympics end up ruling and doing on that. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now for today, but I'm glad that upheld our laws because I think we get back to the state and to the federal and the 10th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. And I'm glad to see that the court system realized that the states have rights to decide. And I think that's the way it should be. If you live in a state that chooses to do that and that's not what you appreciate, you're more than welcome to move. And I'm probably sure you have some neighbors that will help you pack. And so just let us know. We'll be glad to help you out any way we can. So anyway, do want to thank y'all for allowing me to be gone for the last couple weeks and to do what we do. So, dear Lord, be with us, watch over us, take care of us. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Folks, until next time, take care.